everyone, Alyse here from TGG Gaming, and we got a little bit different of a video for you guys today. So, as some of you may know, we've been running regionals the last couple months now, since regionals are now back, and we finally were able to kind of, get a good handle on everything. So we want to give you guys like a little bit of a regional report, because our very awesome head judge from the regional that we just had in Brookfield, Wisconsin, Michael White, was able to help us compile data about this regional, including, the decks played and just a few other cool things. So figured it'd be cool to give you guys a little regional report and, let you guys see the, raw data and, get another perspective from everything. So, with that said, let's head on straight over to the data. So, like I said, our head judge, Michael White, compiled a lot of cool data for us. So he did all this. So, main deck type, secondary deck type. And he also did a cool thing for doing deck count. So I thought that was a really cool statistic to go over as well, because, in this current format with everything how it is, it's cool to see what people are playing their decks at. So, yeah, so we were able to compile it all together, and we got some little spreadsheets for you guys. So we'll go over that in just a second. I guess just some starting facts for the regional. We had about 206 players. It took place the same weekend as Hartford, so numbers were a little bit low. Plus, I know there's probably a lot of people, also, Memorial Weekend. Plus, there's probably people that were dissuaded from the last regional we had in Brookfield, but I just want to let you guys know, if you went to that one and didn't come to the most recent one, we have more room now. We're getting even a bigger space for the next one, so really implore you guys, if you didn't want to give it a chance again, please give us a chance again, because it's only getting better from here. We're going to be able to accommodate so much space for people, so really appreciate if you guys come back out. But anyways, so for this regional, it was an 8-round regional. We had about 206 players, and it was top 32 for invites, and then obviously top 8. So this is the raw data. What I was kind of surprised about for the decks that, started the event, entered it, I kind of expected Swordsoul to be like the most represented tier 1 deck, I guess, but it ended up being Despia just by a little bit. Actually, I can show you guys these numbers up here, except it's slightly cut off. Hold on. Let me actually go over here then. But so we had about 33 Despia, 27 Swordsoul, and Eldlich was the most represented after that. So, you can kind of just see these numbers right here. But yeah, we can go back down to the spreadsheet. You can get a little rougher representation. No deck exceeded 20% in representation, so that's pretty cool. So there was a lot of variation, as you can see. And yeah, so it went Despia, then Swordsoul, then Eldlich. We had a lot of different Eldlich variants. That was interesting. And then Flunder, luckily, took up a little bit lower percentage. But yeah, if we're gonna go by what we consider tier 1 right now, I think 100% it's like Despia, Swordsoul, probably like Flunder, Punk variants. So if we're not including like Eldlich in this, it's about a little bit less than 50% of the pie chart for this regional ended up being non-meta, but that is how it be for events. Some other interesting decks that did get played, though, we had some Salamangreat, a little bit of Striker. There's someone playing Brave, someone playing Therion, some ABC decks, bunch of Dino, even some Tri-Brigade, good amount of Heroes. Some Shadal made its way in, some Ignister, which a lot of people were playing because they had a good Despia matchup, but if the rest of the field is varied, it gets really iffy for them. So, and we only had like a couple Sun Avalon players, which I'm surprised more people weren't on the deck just because of like the Therion cards. But yeah, there were a lot of different Therion variants that popped up this weekend, though. Not any that kind of went into top cut representation for this regional, but seeing the raw spread is always kind of cool. And if we want to go to the top cut spread, we got this one right here. So for top 8, I didn't do top 32 because yeah. So we got Swordsoul taking up 3 of the spots, and then the rest are one-ofs, which I think is kind of expected. Like, we got the random ones, like we got the Virtual World deck, we got the Salamangreat, which I think people are slowly starting to see more representation for. It's an interesting thing, because, like, also we look at, like, the data from this. I expected Salamangreat for, like, the most popular variant to be Brave, but the one that ended up topping the event was just pure Salamangreat, which, hey, if it works, it works. I just thought the Brave variant was gonna be a little bit better, but, you know, that's how it be. But, yeah, we got the Salamangreat there. Got the zombie Eldlich with branded. I didn't know it had branded until after I made the pie chart, but that's fine. Only one Despia. Yeah, like, the conversion rate for it compared to, like, Swordsoul is unfortunately a little bit low, but as you'll see when we get into deck lists, I have all the top 8 lists, just quick review, which if you haven't watched them on our channel yet, make sure you do go watch them. Give those guys a nice little watch. A lot of people are very anti-Despia right now, so this conversion rate makes sense, but at the same time, it's like kind of unfortunate, but it's what it is. And then only one Flunder made it. I don't think anyone's really complaining about that. And then the most interesting statistic, I think, from all this, I mean, like, yeah, this makes sense. It's kind of weird that, like, no Punk decks made it in, but I guess people may not have felt like they had enough time with it yet, or really knew the right lists until, like, after Hartford, and Hartford was obviously going on this same weekend, so that's how it be. But we compiled together what card counts people were playing for the event. The most represented one was, I kind of did ranges just because I feel like, you know, just purely doing exact card counts was gonna be a little bit annoying, but the most represented one was 41 to 45, but in that category, none of them rose above 40 cards, which ended up being like 30% of the field. So, good to know that, like, people are still kind of sticking to 40 as, like, the most represented card count, but, you know, even without there being this being a format where you can go above 40, the fact that, like, it was still this much, I mean, it's not surprising, but it's just, you know, people are still going to go with it either way. So, yeah, I think the most represented in this quadrant here, the 41 to 45, ended up being the 41 card decks, so nothing else really rose above it. So people tried to stick to 40, but it's hard right now. It really is. There's only like 3% being 60 card decks, which I believe was only 6. So it's kind of nice to see going away from that trend, so that, you know, we can end up having more consistent decks. And, like, people are also straying away from, like, the 50s even. Like, they're trying to not go above 45, which from a deck building perspective is probably pretty good. So, no complaints there. But yeah, really happy with this. I mean, the 40 card number, wish was higher, but, you know, 30% is a start. And we'll see, I guess, in the upcoming regionals too that we have coming up, if this changes really much at all. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, I did make little profiles here of all the, I just want to do an overview of the top 8 lists. If you want more in-depth deck profiles of the people and the lists they played, like I said, make sure you check out the videos that are on the channel. There'll also be the feature matches going up, so get to see some of those decks in action. But yeah, this Swordsoul list is pretty cut and dry. I don't really have much to say. The barrier's not maxed out, but, like, that's what it is. Otherwise, he wasn't playing Droplet in his list at all, which I don't know. I would play that over Valor, but I guess he felt like just having the raw hand traps made more of an impact, which makes sense. But yeah. And one thing that's really staying true to this format is Droll making a resurgence again. This card, I think, has a lot of application, but you need to be careful about playing it if, again, we're going into a field with a lot of Swordsoul, because then just maining it gets really iffy. So I think the side deck is the right place for it, and it, you know, makes a nice home right there. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, this is a really standard list. I don't have any complaints about it. It's going first list, obviously. So the next one we had was Virtual World. This is probably one of the more standout lists we had in the event, because he's playing like the one droll, the one token collector. Like you have the Beatrice to send them, and also like the Necroworld Banshee. So you have Beatrice to send it, so that's pretty cool. Surprising he didn't play like Desires or anything since it went to 2, so having that consistency card. But he was playing the Super Poly, and he found other ways to fill out his main deck. So I guess can't really complain there. The only thing that really stood out to me is like the low, like you had the Ash, the one droll, and the Gamma, and then like the Super Poly, but there were no like Droplet or any other hard going second cards that like would boost the deck well enough. And then in the side deck, the only thing that you could really go second well with is like Evenly, which is fine at the end of the day, but I feel like I would have liked having at least one other going second card, but he really wanted to just win going first. But yeah, the Necroworld Banshee was also cool too, because he was playing the Immortal Dragon, which he said was a way to just hard make Crystal Wings. So that was really, you know, cool interaction I saw for him. Also, he's playing this new Navy Dragon mech, which I didn't actually read until I was putting it into DB here, and this card is actually really cool. Just be able to negate more things since you can get over them anyways. So yeah, otherwise not playing Zeus either is kind of weird, but he needed the space for Super Poly and just probably felt like that was more important. So overall, I mean, it looks fine. I just wish there was more going second cards, but it's me personally. But yeah, it's a really interesting take on Virtual World. I don't know, I personally wouldn't want to main this, but if you feel like there's enough applications this can have, then hey, go for it. And next we got the one Salamangreat that was able to make top 8. Went over the 40 deck count because you know, played a good amount of hand traps. He main decked the Droll, which it can make more sense in this deck because like if you want a varied card and like you feel like your Swordsoul matchup is good enough, then I'd say this is a nice card to have. Then he was also making the D-Barrier just as a way to hard win going first. I can't complain about that, obviously. Like, why not just have an auto win button if you can stand to, and if you have enough hand traps, as long as you didn't feel like consistency was thrown off, it all works. But yeah, his side deck was the interesting thing too, because he was playing Alpha and Regeki, which Alpha has like a lot of interesting trade points in the meta, and I'm always excited to see this card kind of have some sort of impact. It's hard to always make have impact, but that was a really weird sentence. But yeah, it's really cool to see it come in. A lot of people are like considering playing like Regeki just because it's good trade against a lot of decks, and I can agree to a similar degree. It's just if I'd want to use my deck space for it, but it obviously works really well for him. He did mention he did enjoy the deck list a lot. So the other standout thing about the list was there's no Heat Leo in it, which I can understand when you're like running low on space, because also Heat Soul came out, so you know, needed room for that. Then Baguska, and then like basically everything else in this extra deck is pretty standard. So just choosing those utility factors over having more Salamangreat names and not respecting back row as much, considering like, you know, you have enough potential back row removal, plus like you should be able to like plow through it, you know, with like access code or something. So makes sense. But yeah, and nice to see the Salamangreat back with 3 circle. I'm personally okay with this deck not being back, but you know, hey, if people like it, you might as well keep going with it. And next we got the Zombie Eldlich branded that was able to make top 8. This looks fairly standard for the most part. The only thing I was kind of surprised about is there's only one Albaz, which I feel like you at least want 2, because in the grind it can like get to that situation. And there's some people also like running the one Allure to play along with this, and then instead of Extrav just play Prosperity. But sometimes in decks like these, I personally do like the raw card advantage factor over having a specific card, because my philosophy is in decks like these is like your engine isn't better than your opponent's, and you're kind of just trying to rely on like, you know, seeing as many of these purple cards as possible, and you see more cards via Extravagance than you do Prosperity. Even though Prosperity you get to pick what you want, just having more raw card advantage to, you know, get through what your opponent has, I think is really nice. So I personally like it, but I can understand wanting prosperity. The one other weird thing too for like the extra deck was he was still playing the Drago Necrosoul or Nether Soul Dragon without playing Super Poly, just because you can still make it off of Lubellion, and he felt like this just helped him get over some stuff, so he was very happy with it. Side deck, I do like the choice of Gadarla being one of the cards. Like, he wasn't maining any hand traps, but he still sided some, which is okay to a degree if you feel like they can be impactful enough, but with such a low count, I might be like in the side of maybe either wanting more cards like Kaijus or, you know, board breakers, but I guess if you feel like you can't really incorporate as many as you'd like, then these work just fine. But yeah, otherwise looks pretty decent. Floodgate galore, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh, unfortunately. So that's the 4th place one. Now we got our 5th place Swordsoul deck. Another going first list. Decided to go up to 45, which is fine, just to incorporate more going second cards. He did mention in his deck profile he wishes this, or he was intending this for this to be Chalice, but didn't have Chalice, rich people problems or something. But played a full Tenyi count, and then yeah, just everything else is basic and standard. Just decided to go up to 45, which is fine, especially because you can play Desires at 2 again, so you know, going a little bit higher isn't that bad. And I mean, the Swordsoul deck is consistent enough, so no issues there. And then decided to go hard on the floodgates in the side deck. Everyone loves Mystic Mine. There were only like 2 deck lists in this top 8 that were playing Mystic Mine, so that's pretty fortunate. And he decided to play Contact Sea as like his own personal tech for, you know, the combo decks and also Despia, but he ended up like never really seeing it, never really putting it in, so do be what it be. And then he had the interesting tech in his extra deck of playing Scrap Dragon to help him get around like certain floodgates or Zombie World or whatever, but he said it ended up almost losing him a game once, so unfortunate. But it is an interesting thing to think about of like other 8s you kind of end up playing in the deck, so you know, something worth checking out maybe. And we got our 6th place Despia deck list. Oops, I gotta update it, hold on, I forgot to refresh the page. So he's playing the Mercurier package, so he's only playing 2 Tragedy, so he's playing the Mercurier, the Sword, the Albion. So I personally don't like Mercurier. If you guys have watched my deck profile on this channel, you know why. Otherwise, like, I understand the purpose of it, and like for what this deck wants to do, it perfectly makes sense. I don't like not playing Banishment. I think that card is like way too good, and I would 100% always want to play it over this, but I think you have to play Sword if you want to play Mercurier at 3, so you know, that's just how it be. Did decide to main the Crossout, but only the 1 Ash. Guess he just didn't respect the other hand traps that can exist right now. And then in the side deck, decided to go more the board breaking stance with like the Droplet, the Evenly, and the Dark Ruler, as opposed to more hand traps, which makes sense. Just because the hand traps end up potentially being not as impactful, but then board breakers can also be iffy, so it be like that. Decide not, I think this is the only deck list that did not play Barrier that was in the top 8. So he has no other going first cards, but like I mean, you can put in Droplet for going first, and then like Zombie World for whatever, so, but not having any sort of flood, I mean, that's just unfortunately the name of the game in this current format. So extra deck, he did mention that he would have wanted the 3rd Albion. I'm a complete advocate for that, and I would have, you know, justified space somehow, but he did also play the Starving Venom, which, you know, is a fair thing to play, so, you know, otherwise this list looks pretty standard for the most part. Yeah, it works. And then we got 7th place, another Swordsoul deck. He played it going second because in his own words, he hadn't played for a while and just wanted to be able to go second because he didn't know what to hand trap properly, and just wanted to, you know, let his deck do the work for him and not have to think as hard about certain aspects. So, you know, oh, there was 3 decks that played Mystic Mine on the top cut. I forgot about this one for a second. But, yep, gotta love Mystic Mine. But, you know, going second cards galore. It is definitely a nice way to play this deck. I think this deck is one of the few decks right now that can do it really well. And, you know, have the versatile side of, you know, being able to go first still, no matter what. Then just a little bit of hand traps, and then only need a little bit of back removal since you already have the Evenly and Lightning Storm in the main. I could even argue that you don't even need these cards, but, you know, if it works for him, it works for him. And then basic extra deck. So, yep. And last deck we have is Flunder in 8th place. The only thing I kind of found weird about at least the main deck was not maxing out on the Book of Moon. And then, I don't know, I think, you know, if you're going to play this card, you might as well max out on the Book of Moon, just because, you know, if the purpose is to make sure you don't lose the hand traps, but we're in a low hand trap format, but this also helps you play around a lot of stuff, so I don't know. It depends, but did go the board breaking route and, you know, the Mystic Mine route. Had the extra one in the side. Main deck the set rotation, which I think is a really good meta call this format, especially if Mystic Mine's going to exist. It just helps you out the opposing Mystic Mine while also getting you in, like, consistency as well. And another way to see the map. No main deck hand traps. Again, like I said, board breaking route. Otherwise looks very standard in the main deck. And then the side deck, the only hand trap was the Token Collector. Other than that, still kind of just go board breaking route. Did play the D barrier. Had variated back removal lineup. I don't remember why he said he did that, but it is valid. And extra deck is basically irrelevant. Just ran a bunch of 2-ofs so that could, you know, keep whatever he needs. And just didn't feel like you need anything else. So anyways, that is going to be it for the review of everything. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tidbit. If there's anything else you want to see in the future in these videos, leave a comment down below. Let me know how I did. We'll have a lot more content coming from you guys soon, hopefully. If there's any other ideas that we can do for structured content on this channel, please let us know, because I'm going to try and do a little bit more here and there. So thank you guys all for watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and also make sure you guys keep an eye out on regional schedules. We're going to be hosting as many regionals as we can. Actually, this weekend, if you're close to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we'll be there. So hopefully see all you guys there. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Bye, everybody.